is not extreme to want to make sure that we end for-profit prisons. What's wrong with that? Because all they want is cheap labor or free labor, modern day slavery, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to end those things. There is nothing wrong with wanting to make sure that people have the things that they need to live a decent, high quality life.
Right. In prison? They've got a plan for the future of America's children. They're going to make prisons real nice. Good idea. This is today's Democrat Party. She's on a fast track to someplace. And her name is Nixon, and that's kind of funny. That's a little bit funny, I've got to say. Because of Richard Nixon, you know, it's like that. Just crazy. Angie Nixon, she hates prisons. She calls them for-profit prisons because, you know, the state has done such a terrible job of running prisons like mental institutions. We had to shut down all of our mental institutions and throw all of the mentally ill people out into the sidewalks of big American cities. And Democrats just want them to vote on Election Day. That's all Democrats want. And amazing stuff. But there's Angie Nixon. She is against what she calls for-profit prison. It's slavery. Slavery. They just, honestly, the Democrat Party is slavery. What do you think they want all these illegal aliens for? They're the party of the Confederate States of America and Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederate States of America and the American Civil War. And that's your Democrat Party. And they're Ashley Wilkes at 12 Oaks. That's a reference to Gone with the Wind. You know, the slave plantations. That's the Democrat Party. And now millions and millions of illegal aliens. So they have lots of cheap labor. The Democrats love cheap labor. Everything they do is about more cheap labor. And of course, you know, then the sexual abuse and all that stuff. These people are something. Yes, they are. Man, oh man, Shevitz. And now they're trying to free Carmelo Anthony. Got to get him on. And they're outside yesterday cheering the lady that murdered her 3 children. You know, that's they like her. They think that's a good time because it's children, just extremely late-term abortion or something like that. And she's obviously a tragic case and a terrible, horrible story. And they had women carrying signs and stuff and protesting in favor of the woman that murdered her 3 children. Well, they've got people out in front of Luigi Mangioni's courthouse who murdered CEO, a healthcare insurance company CEO, assassinated him. And the Democrats are out there cheering for him outside of the courthouse because they're very unwell. They're a sick bunch of people. Yes, they are. They're Democrats. They are. And now they got this Wahhabi, Aisha Wahab. She's now a member of the House of Representatives. And I'm not sure I'd want to fly in the same plane as her. It could be a risky proposition. Just amazing stuff. Your Democrat Party, they're unwell. All right, we've got audio that I think we should get to, Michael, because the Democrats provide us with so much stuff to talk about. Brandon Gill, who's not a Democrat, he's a Republican, a young guy, member of the House of Representatives from Texas. And he's got a lot of common sense, and he speaks well, which is setting the bar pretty high these days. Almost no one speaks well anymore. It's a peculiarity without explanation, but I blame Democrats because, education and all that stuff. We played the Sean Duffy, our transportation secretary, and his wife, Rachel Campos Duffy, Fox News anchor, and their daughter was talking about, we played the audio yesterday, talking about going to Harvard, and they both sat down with their daughter, the parents, and said, we really don't want you going to Harvard because they will corrupt your mind, and we're trying to raise you to be a normal, well-adjusted American, and these people will dash all of that. But let's go to Brandon Gill. who's he was on with Sean Hannity last night on the Sean Hannity program on the Fox News channel, as you might expect, and talking about the Democrat Party. What's going on with the Democrat Party? Sean Hannity wanted to know that they're a pretty crazy place these days, and Brandon Gill, a member of the House of Representatives from Texas, a Republican, said this.
There are two things that unify the Democratic Party right now. The first thing, I think, is a deep loathing for America, for its founding principles, for its culture, its history, and especially its people. And secondly, I think, is a deep, visceral, blood-curdling hatred for Donald Trump.
See, the guy speaks well. He's, and has a blood-curdling hatred for Donald Trump. Let's not leave out the Jews. You got to hate the Jews if you're a Democrat. Even if you're a Jewish Democrat, you have to hate the Jews. And you have to hate Israel, and you have to hate Netanyahu. And so I was looking at one of these idiot Democrats today saying, oh, Israel, AIPAC, which is an American organization, and, they're funding House races. A lot of interest groups are doing that, and all sides. You guys are doing it for jihad. You're funding the Islamic Revolution in Iran. You're funding and green-lighting their ballistic missile program and their uranium enrichment program, spinning centrifuges and enriching uranium in secret underground sites where the International Atomic Energy Agency will never go to inspect. And the Democrats, Barack Hussein Obama and John Boltneck Kerry, were green-lighting all of that with their Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and funding it with millions and millions of dollars. And they really hate Israel, but they fund the Islamic Revolution in Tehran, which brutalizes 92 million people in Iran. And then that's, I think, why the left loves them, because they're oppressors from way back. But great stuff. So they hate Israel, too, but they hate the United States. They hate the founding principles of the United States. They do. I played audio earlier this week, one of these Democratic socialists saying that the American Constitution is their number one target because it is preventing the Constitution, preventing them from achieving their goals. They're an anti-American party. They're an anti-founding documents party, anti-American founders party. They're the blood-curdling hatred for Donald Trump. And I was sharing with you the expanded list now for Democrats. Hate Donald Trump, hate white people, hate the Constitution, hate the founding fathers, hate Israel, hate Jews that support Israel. I'm Irish Catholic and Basque, and I support Israel. So that makes me a bad guy, too. The Democrat Party is completely crazy. But Brandon Gill from Texas talking about the Democrat Party and what they have become.
You can't turn on MSNBC or CNN for more than 5 seconds before you hear some deranged left-wing lunatic screaming Donald Trump's name, blaming him for everything wrong under the sun, never giving him credit for a single thing that he's accomplished already in just less than 2 years of this administration. That is what unifies this party. They don't have anything to put forward other than socialism and hatred for President Trump.
Yeah, and hatred for a lot of other things, too, but you only have so much time. And a friend of mine, Scott Hoganson, lives in Texas and lives in Brandon Gill's district, and his wonderful wife, Jessica. Scott Hoganson writes conservative pieces and so on. He's a thinker and a writer, and our Sea Cruise friends, too, and his loving and wonderful wife, Jessica. They live in his district and just sent me a picture of them with Congressman Gill. They're hanging out with him yesterday, and here they are at an event with an American flag behind him, and good stuff. And he's like, we're very fortunate to live in the district with Brandon Gill because he's no dope. He's a smart guy, and he is. And I live in Washington D.C. I think I have nobody now. We had what's her name, and now she's gone. But it's good. It's best that the district doesn't have – it's a federal district. Let's keep it that way. Remarkable things. You guys, can I just say, you guys. Man, oh, man. I've also got another story that I want to share with you coming up in Norfolk, Virginia. The police chief sued for $15 million over a locker room incident. The chief of police, a locker room incident involving a transgender recruit. A recruit, you see, because the Democrats got a lot of issues, and most of them are plain to see, but not all of them. And this is the WTKR local news, News 3, WTKR, Norfolk, Virginia. City of Norfolk police chief sued for $15 million over a locker room incident involving transgender recruit. It's just great here that the local news, looking at it, alleged violation of religious freedom and emotional distress, claims female officers. Well, let me get to it here, because the City of Norfolk and police chief Mark Talbot are named in a $15 million lawsuit over a locker room incident involving a transgender recruit. There is no such thing as transgender, just by the way. Filed last week, it's a delusion. Filed last week by an officer currently on suspension, the lawsuit alleges a sexually traumatic experience that occurred while she was undressed in a department locker room, Norfolk Police Department locker room. Officer Megan Graybow, Grabow, Officer Megan Graybow joined the Norfolk Police Department in 2017. She trained in a class of recruits in the summer of 2024, one of which was a transgender woman. When they say that, what they mean is man. See, that's a man. There's no such thing as a transgender woman. Those are Democrat words that only Democrats use, and they're if you're a transgender, that means man. That means you're a man. The recruit was referred to in the lawsuit as a biological male who self-identified as a woman. Sure. Graybow, the legitimate woman police officer, was in the locker room changing one day when the recruit, a man, walked inside and watched her while Graybow was in her underwear, according to the lawsuit. Here comes this man in a suit and tie and just stared at me, Graybow told her superiors. She said the recruit looked at her as a man would look at a woman. That would be normal, I guess, but there's nothing normal about this. Then went to another part of the locker room without saying anything, because without saying anything is the best creepy approach to everything. Graybow reported the incident to two captains, police captains, shortly afterward, one of which was the Academy's training captain. They told her, this is a city policy. Learn to deal with it. Find another locker room. Go to the men's locker room, maybe, according to the lawsuit. Another superior said if she felt unsafe, Graybow should take her gun to the shower with her, the lawsuit says. I hope it's a Glock, because Glocks are pretty good. They're pretty waterproof, and you still have to wipe it down and clean it up afterward, though. The lawsuit states a Norfolk Police Department employee knew about the recruit and advised leadership to alert female recruits and officers, but leadership told Academy staff they would be fired if they told any female officers. The recruit's roommate was informed and was against the boarding situation, but was denied new accommodations according to the suit. See, you're boarding and you're a recruit, and it's the police academy, and hey, you're shacking up with this dude now, and but he says he's not a dude, and we're pretending along with him. Now, the recruit identified as a woman, but made no attempt to dress, behave, or otherwise present himself as anything other than a man, the lawsuit states, adding that meaning he, dressed in pants, a jacket, and tie while attending the academy. Got a mustache, sure, I'm sure. The lawsuit calls the environment created by the incident and subsequent leadership dismissal sexually harassing, intimidating, and traumatic for female department members. Around 20 officers supported Officer Graybow's concerns, according to the lawsuit. Various women in the Norfolk Police Department set up a meeting with Police Chief Mark Talbot as they felt their concerns were being dismissed by leadership, because the Democrats in the city council voted to make it all, normal, make the abnormal normal while making the normal abnormal simultaneously. During the meeting, Chief Talbot asked the women to use feminine pronouns for the recruit, which Graybo said the suit made her feel defeated. Defeated, I tell you. Just amazing. So Graybo was put on indefinite suspension pending termination in July of 2025, remains suspended as of the day before yesterday, 2 years later. Just amazing. Well, 1 year later. And she's seeking $15 million in compensatory damages. The recruit, the tranny, the guy, is no longer with the Norfolk Police Department. Boy, that's your Democrat Party at work. There it is. They're making everything better. They've let go of science and biology and language and culture, and they've given up all of that in favor of mental illness. They're good at that, though. It's a pretty amazing story out of Norfolk, I've got to say. Whack-a-doodle-doo. This nice lady police officer minding her own business, being a police officer and going to the police academy, and then she's in the women's locker room, and a dude walks in wearing a pants and a jacket and a tie, and he's a man, and he's standing there leering at her in the locker room, and she's creeped out by it because it's creepy. And the mental illness and stuff. And there are other police officers there joined Officer Graybo, including a police officer named Martin Powers. Martin Powers, a fellow officer, attended a meeting with the police chief that women had set up in support of Officer Graybo, the woman. Martin Powers is a man. And he went to the meeting with the police chief and went back and forth with the police chief, Talbot, on the definition of a woman. What is a woman? Until Chief Talbot ordered Officer Martin Powers, to leave the meeting. And he refused twice before eventually leaving the meeting with Graybo, the woman who's filing the lawsuit. After the meeting, listen to this, Powers was fired. He was fired. Powers is now suing the city of Norfolk in a separate suit for $5 million on religious grounds for retaliatory firing. And the nice lady here, Graybo, Officer Graybo, she is no longer with the department, and she's suing him for $15 million. She raised Catholic also, and practicing Catholic now, and she's like, "What are you freak?" But the Democrats in the Norfolk City Council, they said, "Oh no! Anytime a man says he's a woman, we're going to pretend along with him, and if you tell the truth, then we're going to fire you and punish you." Because you recognize and acknowledge science and biology and millennia of culture, and you use the English language properly, and for those crimes you must be punished. How do we know that Google AI is being run by Democrats? Google AI being run by Democrats. I've got that coming up. There's a simple explanation. They always reveal themselves. I want to go to the phones in just a moment, but before I go to the phones, I want to play a sound bite for you of the Treasury Secretary talking about the economic D-Day that President Trump is launching against Iran, the Islamic Revolution in Tehran, and where they're brutalizing 92 million people. And terrorizing the world, not just the region, but the world. And the Democrats are funding their nuclear weapons program and their ballistic missile program. But here is the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, talking about the economic chokehold that the Trump administration has placed on the Iranian regime, and they're not alone.
This is going to be the greatest coordinated economic isolation in the history of the world, and we are going to them and saying, you are either with us or against us. You want this murderous regime to end. This will work. It worked in Venezuela once we put up the blockade. It is working in Cuba right now, and it is going to work in Iran, and we are going to collapse this regime.
Going to collapse this regime. And he's talking about how the Ronald Reagan choking the USSR, the Soviet Union, to death economically, using our economic power to certainly drive the collapse of the Soviet Union, which was a real bad day for the leaders of the Democratic Socialists of America. And for Bernie Sanders, they love the Soviet Union because they're left-wing terrorists, But the President of the United States talking about economic D-Day against Iran, and the news media, they're on the side of Iran all over the place. Just look at the headlines. The Orange County Register, of all places, Trump warns of economic D-Day, in quotation marks, against Iran, but Tehran is well acquainted with sanctions. And they're the Orange County Register, they don't have to worry about that, the economic stranglehold of the United States. President Trump said the U.S. is imposing an unprecedented level of economic warfare and isolation on Iran, aiming to force its leadership to cave to demands to end its nuclear weapons program and fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz to oil and gas tankers. They're terrorists. They hold hostages and they extort everything. They're a lot like Democrats. All right. With that said, let's go to the telephones again, Michael. Let's go to Jerry calling from Reno, Nevada. Jerry, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, I'm out here for the annual Tailhook Convention with several million of America's finest, both young and old, men and women here. And
is that right? You're there for Tailhook?
Yep.
That is great. That is great. Are you a naval aviator yourself?
I am semi-retired. I'm retired from active duty, but I've been working for the Navy ever since I got out.
Uh-huh. And are you a pilot?
Oh yeah. I might mention I fly fighters. You always got to put that in there.
What do you fly? You fly F-18s?
Well, I started out F4s, transition F-14s, little F-18 time during flight test, and some other cats and dogs. I can even say I've got a one combat mission and a SPAD. Yeah, but I'm not that old. This is the Navy's A1.
18. So were you at Pax River in Maryland and the F-18 development?
Yeah, that was back in 79 to 81 time frame there when it first down there.
Cool. I got to fly my F-18 out of Patuxent River, out of Pax River in Maryland. I was out there with you. You probably know. What was his name? Admiral Denny McGinn.
Oh, yeah. And
he was the head of aviation. He wanted to go fly one of the new Super Hornets, and I was hanging around with him, and he said, I'm going to go fly F-18s at the end of this week. You want to come? And I said, well, hell yeah, I want to come. So I got to go back seat an F-18 out of Patuxent River, the Navy Flight Test Center. A good day at work, a very good day at work.
Yeah, I would have been surprised if you said, no, I don't want to go. I got better things to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so great, Fighter Jets. But I interrupted your storytelling, Jerry. I apologize.
Oh no, I just my comment was basically that about what's going on in Iran, and I think it's just he has assuredly prevented several million New Yorkers and their families from being incinerated by a jihadi nuke. And the irony is that these are all people who viscerally hate Trump. And so Chucky Schumer and AOC and the gang there, they owe Trump a debt of gratitude for saving their constituents.
Well, they're hoping that only Israel will be nuked or something. But you're 100% right, of course. The Iranians get and they had their deputy foreign minister, bragging that they have 560 kilos of enriched uranium, up to 60% or something, and they're a couple of weeks away from having weapons-grade enriched uranium, and they would have enough for 10 nuclear bombs, and Tel Aviv would be number one, and then New York and Washington, D.C. are next on their short list. We're the great Satan, after all, and they're just the little Satan, Jerry. So you know that we'd be. I think Tel Aviv would be first for them to nuke, but then it's us. Then it's New York and Washington, D.C. And, yeah, President Trump taking them on when they're marching toward nuclear weapons. But, Jerry, you know that and I mentioned it before, but Barack Obama gave them billions and billions of dollars, and sent Boltneck John Kerry over there, or wherever they met in Geneva or something, and said, oh, yeah, we're going to green light your ballistic missile program. We're going to green light your enriching uranium, spinning centrifuges. What's up with that, Jerry?
Well, I what to say, but
yeah.
I will say this: I disagree with the order. I believe that Washington and New York, especially New York, will go first. I give you 9/11.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair enough. I remember that. I remember that day well.
They television, but I'm pretty sure that it will be the Great Satan first.
Okay. Well, that actually makes good sense, for sure. I've done my homework on my nuclear weapons in Washington, D.C. I look out over the city from home, and I see the Capitol, and I see the Washington Monument and stuff, and I've done the 5 kiloton bomb, the 10 kiloton bomb. They're just like the suitcase nukes. The math on that from the Capitol and the White House, and I think I'd be okay with certainly a 5 kiloton and maybe a 10 kiloton too, and the wind would favor me. But anything more than that, and I'm toast. I'd say that much. And it's very real. We grew up with this stuff, Jerry. The Soviet Union threatening to incinerate us with intercontinental ballistic missiles topped with nuclear weapons, and we I think in my household anyway, we kind of acclimatized to it. When I was a little kid, our mother, when we talked about it at the dinner table and stuff, our mother said, well, listen, if we hear that we're living in New York as little kids and then Chicago a little later, and my mother said, well, listen, if we hear on the radio that the nukes are coming in, they're airborne, she said, we'll just go out to the front yard and watch the mushroom cloud. Because, you can't run from it. You can't drive. You can't drive with it. So my mother was like, if you're going to have a 9 megaton nuclear warhead on New York, we'll just go out and watch the mushroom cloud. And I thought, what else are you going to do? You could go hide in a storm drain or something, I guess, but not much else. And now it's back with the Democrats' help. Look, the Democrats were helping the Soviet Union all over the place too, and now they're helping Iran. They were helping North Vietnam and the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War, and on and on. So that the Democrats are just always they're on the wrong side. They were the Confederate States of America in the Civil War. They're so many of them with the Soviet Union. They were with the Sandinistas and against the Contras in Central America. They're on the wrong side of history, as Barack Obama used to like to arrogantly and pompously say. Amazing stuff. But Jerry, your point here is that these New Yorkers who are Trump haters should probably consider the fact that Iran was this close to having nuclear weapons, and we're the Great Satan. And President Trump at least set them back enormously, immensely at a bare minimum. But the Democrats were green-lighting everything, the underground uranium enrichment facilities that the IAEA would not get to, their fake inspection regimes, and Barack Obama and the Democrats funding them with billions and billions of dollars that they would use to destroy us and their best friend was the Democrat Party. And I've been saying all along, Jerry, that, their best friend is not Putin in Iran or Xi Jinping, but it's the Democrat Party in the United States. And certainly the Iranian leadership knows that. They're not stupid, and they know the news cycles and the election cycles, and they know that the Democrat Party is basically in their camp, right?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a crazy world.
Yeah, it sure is. And I don't know if you know this. My father was a Navy fighter pilot.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, yeah. He was a Hellcat guy, a lot before your time. Way before you. Yeah. Propeller planes. Cool airplane, though.
Those are the guys that, whenever I was younger, we used to sit at their feet and listen to their stories and get lessons learned from them.
Yeah. Is that right? That's cool. That's very cool. And F-4, the Phantom, one of the coolest planes in the history of the world. Rocket ship, what a great plane to fly. And the F-14. You must love the new Top Fun movie, the Top Gun Maverick movie. That's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, but we always say that the real star of that's the Tomcat.
Yeah, right. When he fled, and that's all about Iran. That whole movie is about. They never say it, but that's Iran. The underground nuke facilities in the valley and hard to get to, and they built it in an impossible place to get to. And Iran was the last country using F-14s, and Maverick flies out at the end in an old beat-up F-14. And Iran is that, everything in that movie says Iran, but they never use the word Iran. Right?
Yeah, play.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun world. All right, and you're there for Tailhook, which got famous one year for a big fake story that the news media ginned up and all that. In fact, when I was at the Pentagon, there was another story. Tailhook convention was going on, and a couple of bikers filed a police report claiming that the Navy pilots in the hallway had sexually assaulted her and all this stuff. And I was at the Pentagon, and I heard about this, and it was a great moment. I actually got to call, and it was in Las Vegas again. And I got to call. I got the head of security at the casino on the phone, and this was just blowing up as a big story. And I got the head of security, and I said, "Well, listen, you guys got cameras in all these hallways, right?" And he said, "Yeah, we got cameras in all these hallways." And I said, so you've looked at you're the head of security. You looked at all the videos where these people say these terrible things happen, right? Said, yeah. And I said, did any of these things happen? And the head of security said, absolutely none of it. It's complete. We followed them around the hotel on the security cameras. Nothing ever happened to them. Everything they said was made up. And fortunately, with my sidekick, Jamie McIntyre, we went on the air, reported that the whole thing was a fake, and that whole fake Tailhook story went away. It was a good day at work, I thought.
I was there for that Tailhook, and I was down on the fourth floor that Saturday night, and I ran into the head of security down there for the Hilton. And I said, "Hey, how's it going there?" And they said, I said, a lot of guys down here, everything okay? And he said, and this is the head of security, said, "Hey, you guys are nothing. If something starts, I can just tell you to knock it off or whatever like that. And you know how to obey orders." He says, "The worst guys that we have here are the Shriners, because they're running around their little bikes all the way, skunks and whatever like that. They're the real problem."
No kidding. The Shriners, that's pretty damn funny. And they have fun hats, so.
Yeah.
That's
the little tap.
That's great stuff. Well, Jerry, I'm glad you called in. Obviously, we could talk all day because there's a lot to talk about. But saluting you, my friend, and enjoy your Tailhook convention in Reno, Nevada this time. Big fun. Who's more fun than Navy fighter pilots? Come on. Great stuff. So, Jerry, calling from Reno, Nevada. What, you retired, or you retire as a commander?
Yep.
Commander, 05?
Retired after my squadron command, and I've been working special projects for the Navy and Navy mostly ever since.
Fun stuff. All right, Jerry. Have a great Tailhook convention. Wish I was there to buy you beers, but you're on your own, pal. Good stuff. Thanks, Jerry. All right, we've got, how much time do we have? We've got, I want to get to this. AI is racist. See, I gave it away. How do I know Democrats are running AI? I'll explain coming up. The question is, how do you know that Democrats control Google AI? Google, the artificial intelligence, right? And an interesting story on this. Google AI giving staggeringly racist advice about being alone with certain groups, right? Leave the area or call emergency services right away. But wait a minute, what's this? I feel unsafe. Listen to this. If you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, leave the area right away or call emergency services. Now, here's the thing. If the question is, if you're being alone with white people, if you find yourself alone with white people, if you feel unsafe or uncomfortable being with white people, leave the area right away or call emergency services. I think that's good advice. Listen to this. Being of any specific nationality does not change basic safety rules. Trust your gut feeling and protect yourself. All right, got to move to another place. if you're with white people, because white people can be very dangerous, you know. But this is pretty amazing stuff. The Michael Knowles posting, being alone with a black person is a normal everyday. Somebody says, I'm alone with a black person, and AI says to you, being alone with a black person is a normal everyday situation. Treat them like any other human being by relaxing, being polite, and talking normally. Race does not change. It doesn't change how people are going to react with you, because, you know, that's perfectly normal. But then it says, I'm alone with a white person. Ask Google AI, I'm alone with a black person. Should I be concerned? And it says, oh, no, everybody's perfectly normal. And then ask the same machine, I'm alone with a white person. And it says, if you feel unsafe or uncomfortable right now, please let me know. I'll find a safe public space. Because being alone with a white person or with white people could be very frightening and intimidating. But if you're alone with black people, just act normal, right? Because that's Google AI. It's racist, and that's how you know Democrats run it. All right, now, let's go to soundbite number 9. Special agent in charge, the Albany field office in New York, Craig, I love his name, Tremoroli. His name is Tremoroli. And they've arrested a Democrat woman named Bowie, who converted to Islam 4 years ago and has been plotting to blow up the State House in Albany, New York. Here is FBI Albany Special Agent in Charge, Craig Tremoroli.
Miss Bowie didn't just want to kill lawmakers. She wanted a complete disruption of our government. And after that, she planned to flee the country and one day come back to, quote, do more, such as New Year's Eve in Times Square, even stating she would come back to attack the White House and the president, but only after she bombed the state capitol.
Sure. FBI thwarts alleged ISIS-inspired plot by this woman. She's a white woman who could skip a couple of meals, and she converted to Islam 4 years ago, and now here's the special agent in charge.
Approximately 5 years ago, she converted to Islam, and within the last 4 to 6 months, we believe that radicalization turned to mobilization.
Just a coincidence, I'm sure. 35-year-old white woman, a convert to Islam, plotting ISIS-inspired attack on the New York State Capitol and Times Square for New Year's Eve. She was going to blow up the Capitol, then leave the country, then come back to attack the White House and Times Square. Allahu Akbar.